Sarah Everard's death has sparked a national outcry over misogyny and violence towards women.
This could be a moment born of deep tragedy, but a moment to actually really change things.
In the UK, in the last decade, 1,425 women have been murdered, an average of 1 every 3 days. 97% of young women have been the victim of sexual harassment. 4 in 5 women have experienced sexual harassment in a public space. But 96% of these women said they didn't report the incidents because almost half believe it wouldn't change anything. These stats demonstrate a lack of faith in UK authorities. In the wake of Sarah Everard's death, the government has announced a series of immediate steps to improve security, which include dedicating plainclothes police in clubs and more street lighting. But critics don't believe these are meaningful changes.
Our concern about that is if somebody's in plain clothes, that's obviously, it means that they can be effectively in a disguise, and women will recognise that that means that those people have an opportunity to abuse their power and not be accountable.
Charities and campaign groups are renewing calls for stronger safeguards for women, and this is happening at the same time that the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill is going through Parliament. This bill was first introduced to the Commons before Sarah's death and isn't a response to the tragedy. However, it's a bill that doesn't use the word woman once, and many see it as a missed opportunity to tackle violence against women and girls.
Given that 91% of violent domestic crimes are committed against women by men, but what women want and survivors want is to, firstly, a duty to be believed, early prevention and risk detection, for services to come in as soon as that they suspect that something is going on, for somewhere for women to actually go to and feel that they have a place of protection and refuge. None of that is addressed in this bill.
The new Law and Order Bill is a huge piece of legislation that includes government proposals on crime and justice. Included in the 300-page document are measures which the opposition believe gives authorities disproportionate controls over protests.
You have to ask, who is made safer by this bill? Not one mention of women in this bill, not one. If your answer to making this country safer is delivering tougher sentences for attacking a statue than you do for raping a person, then you have entirely the wrong priorities.
So if this bill becomes law as it is, it could see the maximum penalty for criminal damage of a memorial increased from 3 months to 10 years, whereas the punishment for actual bodily harm is 5 years maximum. However, Boris Johnson said the bill will toughen laws to better protect the public, including women.
It's actually a very sensible package of measures which goes much further in toughening sentences for rapists, for stopping the early release of serious sexual and violent offenders, and it takes some new tough action against domestic violence.
In this new legislation, there are no measures to increase sentences for rapists or stalkers. However, the bill does look to up the minimum time served under discretionary life sentences, which judges can use to punish rapists. But Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has urged the government to pause the bill so that amendments can be made to include legislation like a new street harassment law and whole life tariffs for anyone found guilty of a stranger abductor murder. But what do women's groups want?
We actually think there needs to be a bit more of a back to basics approach on this. We're really concerned that there hasn't been proper consultation with the women's sector around what the bill contains.
This could be a moment born of deep tragedy, but a moment to actually really change things and to really look at how we can address violence against women and girls, how we can address domestic abuse, how we ensure that those stereotypes, that unequal positioning of women, can actually be addressed. And that's something that the government should be taking a lead on through all of its institutions, all of its policing, all of its strategies, and all of the cultural institutions of this country. And that's what's missing. Street lights and a few more plainclothes officers is not going to solve the problem.